not all in here at the same time.
No.
Everybody ready?
You ready?
Good afternoon, everybody. This is a special meeting of the City Council of Satellite Beach, March 16, 2013, approximately 1 p.m. We're here to go over and interview applicants for our city manager.
Colin Benziger and Associates, and as you said, we're here to interview our finalists. We have 4 of them, and they're scheduled at roughly 25-minute intervals. The council, if you run out of questions, we can bring the next candidate a little early. If you have more questions, you need more time, we can, just, it's sequential, so it doesn't really matter how much time we take. The important thing is that you get the information you need to make the decision you need to make. We do have I'd call it cards, but it's really paper. If anyone in the audience has any questions that they would like to ask the candidates, if you could write it on the paper, put your name on it, and then give it to me. And what I'll do is when they're done with their questions, I'll read any questions from the citizens that have been turned in to me. Having said that, usually what happens is the mayor, I'll give you the name of the candidate. The mayor asks the candidate to spend a couple of minutes to tell everybody who they are and a little bit about themselves, and then just turn to one end of the dais or the other and say, Councilmember Dean and Councilmember Gott, would you like to ask your questions?
Before we get going on that, and we have to give them time to fill out those forms, I'm going to open it up for citizens' comments.
Before we start, can we swing that end of the table toward this council some so that they're facing us instead of...
I'll get a nickel later.
That's good, that's good.
At this time, we're opened up for citizens' comments. Okay, hearing none, bring it back to council. Mr. Benziger, we'll take the first applicant.
Our first applicant is Conrad Hildebrand from Utah.
Welcome, Conrad.
I'm going to get the door. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you very much, and if you would please tell us a little bit about yourself briefly. Even though all of us talk to you, please let the audience know a little bit about yourself, and then we'll start the questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm excited to be here. As you know, I'm Conrad Hildebrand. A little bit about me. I've been a city manager since 1998. I've been in the public sector for about 25 years. My experience in city management has been with cities about the same size as Satellite Beach, in the 2 cities that I've been city manager with. And I'm excited to be here. I'm not sure exactly what you want to know other than that. Education-wise, I have a bachelor's degree in business management with an emphasis in international business and Portuguese. And I have a graduate degree in public administration with an emphasis in local government management and HR. So that's sort of my education and experience in a nutshell.
Great, thank you very much. Would like to start?
Hi, Conrad. Welcome again. Just by explanation for our members of the public here, during my private interview with the candidates, I talked to them primarily about their backgrounds in city management with their current cities. And for the public interview here, my questions are going to be devoted more to Satellite Beach, because I think that those are the questions that you would particularly like to have answered. So I also gave each of the candidates a heads up, and that I would be asking one particular question, so I'll start with that one, Conrad. What do you think are the 3 biggest challenges currently facing Satellite Beach, and how would you address them?
Okay, thank you. I think always and Satellite Beach is no exception, but every city, a number one priority for all cities is their budget. And is that me or is that someone else?
Me.
Oh, you're plugging in over there. Is the budget. The budget is the biggest and most important, in my opinion, item that the Mayor and Council does every year. It dictates what happens in Satellite Beach. It dictates personnel, it dictates projects, it dictates level of service, it dictates everything. So I'm not sure if it's a challenge or a problem, but something immediately that always has to be concerned and overseen and managed and worked with is the budget, and making sure that the budget, I feel I'm very strong financially and have ideas with the budget, looking at budgets on a continuous basis for cost savings, for revenue enhancements, for all those things are very important. And while following the guidelines or the vision of the Mayor and Council and in achieving the goals that you see, the vision for this city comes through that budget. So that's more of the macro, the global, that I think is very important always and that I look at. Secondly, as with a lot of budgets around the country, and again, it didn't save Satellite Beach, is the economy that we've been through. Some of the tough times since 2007, 2008 that have really hit hard and affected people. And with a primary revenue source for the general fund, for the operation fund for the city, being property tax, having a key eye on property tax and enhancement of existing properties through code enforcement means, through vacant lots, through all the different ways to enhance property tax, just the overall amounts of property tax as well as the specific, and that helps residents. That helps everyone in the city as you increase your property tax. So looking at that I've been in cities, growth cities, and other type of cities. Every city has a life cycle. Sometimes cities have, and it rotates. Cities they grow up, and they go through a big growth period, and people get older, and you have a higher older population, and then their kids start coming back, and other people start renting houses that they grew up in, or other things like that. So I mean, it keeps rotating, and so the needs and wants of a city are alternating. With the growth cycle of the city right now, I see the need for a strong redevelopment presence of beautification and redeveloping, because it's pretty much built out. I mean, a high percentage of the city is built out. It's just certain lots here and there, as well as in your redevelopment project areas along A1A and the major arteries that go through the city. So looking at those, being active in the CRA, and development of your property tax. A lot of people talk about Pelican Coast. I think that's a critical part too of working with property owners, people that are involved in the mix there, whether it be the military or existing property owners, the cities, all the people that have a vested interest, and making a good development there. And by doing that, you solve issues that help the residents in a whole. I see a bedroom community. I see people loving living in their bedroom community and wanting to maintain that lifestyle. I'm not here to say let's go and dramatically alter that lifestyle. People like their lifestyle. At the same time, there are things that you can do to continue as that life cycle of the city alters. People have different demands. I mean, a younger family may have a different demand or request or desire or want than someone that's already gone through that as a family. So being constantly aware of the needs and wants of those residents, but generally that comes through you all. I mean, city manager, it's crucial to understand that process to make recommendations to you, but you're the heartbeat of the city, the mayor and council, and residents talk to you all the time, 24/7. I mean, and you're a good guy and a bad guy based on your decision, and different people, and so keeping that balance. But doing the will of the mayor and council who represent all the residents. So those would be the things. I mean, I think again, the budget, the CRA, and then the 100 acres, the property tax, new property tax generation. So.
Thank you. Sure. Sean, would you like to take that?
Yeah, nice to see. I just saw you a few hours ago. Pleasure meeting you. Why should you be selected as the city manager?
Why should I be selected as city manager? This is time for my sales pitch to you. Community.
Sorry.
Well, I want to preface it by saying I think you do have some very good candidates. I'm not one to say I know it all. I don't know it all. I know if you select me that I will learn a great deal from each one of you up in the dais, as well as lots of residents, and to learn and grow. And I believe in continuous education and training and getting better, and that all of us are smarter than one of us. That being said, I think I'm a pretty smart guy. I mean, I think I have good experience. I've been in a couple different cities that have done that, albeit not here in Florida. If you ask me one of my weaknesses right now, I'd say, yeah, I don't have the background and strength in Florida state law and government and experience. However, being that smart guy, I think my learning curve would flatten pretty quickly with that too. So I think that, I don't know if I stand apart. I think the hard work, I'm not afraid of hard work. At the same time, I enjoying my work and having fun and having those in the staff and residents enjoy and working on projects and saying, oh, I love living in my city. I love working for my city. I love living in my city because we work as that partnership. That's what I think I would bring and would strive to bring and work hard to bring here in Satellite Beach. So I think, if you ask that same question to the other three candidates, it may be real similar. I just think that my background, my experience would bring a little bit different. I'm sure I have some experiences and some things that you may or may not have to evaluate and see if they're a benefit here. Some will be and some may not be, but I do have that ability to, you say in a financial setting with your retirement or basically whatever you're doing, you need to diversify your base and don't stick with just one area, or you could have some problems in the future. Well, I'm the diversification. I'm kind of the base. I mean, that's my positive of being from out of the area, is that I can bring something that may be different. But at the same time, let me back up. I know it's my time to shine and sell and close the deal, and I appreciate that. But I do want to show respect to the other candidates too. I think I don't think you're going to go wrong, is what I'm saying, however you go. But if it's me, that's what I'd love. So.
One other question. What would you do the first 6 months if you were hired in Satellite Beach?
First 6 months of our hire. I'll try not to be, I catch myself, another one of my weaknesses, sometimes I become a little verbose, and it's like, hey, just answer the question and be quiet. I'll try not to be as verbose. First 6 months, I think it's critical to immediately, as I mentioned with Councilmember Gott, the budget. Budget is a year-long process. It isn't, oh, we start that in the summer and our fiscal year starts October 1. A lot of the nuts and bolts happen at that time, but you've got to constantly be working on that planning, developing through your capital improvement plans, through your other type of planning. I mean, you're constantly managing your budget. So the budget is crucial and time sensitive right now of doing that. So that would be one of the major things. Understanding more fully and absolutely the vision of the mayor and council is crucial too. And then probably third would be getting a good beat on the actual staff here in the city. And my management style is one of evaluating and then empowering based on how I've done. I mean, letting people do their job and empowering them to do their job, but with accountability. It's not just here, there, do your job, whatever you want to do. It's empowering them to do a job with accountability and then evaluating after that. So that cycle. So those three main areas of budget are probably, there'd be one more. The mayor and council getting close and understanding the vision, meeting with you individually, collectively, and understanding that. The staff is the lifeblood of the city. It's the biggest asset that you have as a city is your staff. They're the ones that, all your vision, all your budgeting, they're the ones that do it. And then fourth would be developing community relationships too. In the community, there's lots of good ideas, and as you know, and bringing those things back to all of you for your evaluation and comments. Those are things.
Thank you.
You got to drive around the city with our department heads and look around. You know, what do you see in the city in either a redevelopment or a development scenario that you see as possibly lacking, or things that you view are missing in the city and could be part of that redevelopment or development?
Well, as I mentioned, property tax is the lifeblood, so increasing the value of your overall base through property tax. So if there's like boarded up buildings or vacant lots, things like that, I mean, identifying those and actively pursuing those and doing that. That also being said, I think with redevelopment, I think that simple, easy things too could happen. I mean, just overall beautification of the city. I mean, I was in a city that was fairly similar to Satellite Beach. It was a city named Washington Terrace. It was Washington because it had Hill Air Force Base right next to it. It was its southern boundary. It had military housing in the city. We were in the flight zone, so half the time you couldn't hear one another because F-15s would be landing. I don't know if it's that problem here, but it was very similar, and redeveloping those and doing it. I think that I think in my overall sense, I think infrastructure is crucial. I mean, infrastructure and then public safety are the two primary things that everyone expects, residents expect, but you also have to do quality of life things, because I bet if you ask any of these residents here, I don't know, they look like some real sage and seasoned residents, so maybe it won't work as well with them because they've been around, some of them. But if you knock on any door, you go to a mall, you go somewhere and say, what do you love about your city? What's the best thing about your city? Almost exclusively, 90+% are going to say quality of life things. You can get very busy dumping all your money, and rightly so, that's why I prefaced with this, in infrastructure and in public safety and stuff, which you have to do, they're expected, but you also need to do quality of life. Some beautification in the redevelopment project areas, some city pride citywide. I mean, I love my city, and my city looks great. So some of those type of things too.
One last question. If you were to be the candidate and we negotiated a package for financial pay, what would you be expecting as far as future raises with the economic condition? Would you be expecting something yearly? Would you be, I mean, our employees haven't necessarily had a raise in a while, and I'm sure our city is probably like a lot of other ones. Would, you know, can you give us any ideas of what you might be looking at and when?
Yeah, I'm very conscious, and that's why I've said budget a bunch of times, of the situation of the city. And I think staff can be very patient and understanding of that too. And residents can understand that too. I think sometimes people get quick and it's easy to cut staff. I represent staff as a city manager as well. And I think, and I said before, it's your number one asset. You know, the happy life, happy wife, well, happy staff, productive staff. And so I believe in taking care of them as it directly relates to, do they need an X% raise every single year? I don't think so. I think a lot of people, if you identify, if they enjoy their workplace and creating a productive, fun environment, of course everyone likes getting extra pay, but that sometimes isn't the highest priority or in the very top, where if they enjoy their work and feel comfortable in their work, and they will if they're productive, if they're pushed and they're productive, you can offset that. Me and me specifically the same way. Yeah, I have a family as everyone else, and enjoy increases, but I understand that if it's not there, let's work to make it so it does. And if there's that ability, then there's that ability. We can balance the budget with that. But if not, we understand that. There does come a time that, I mean, you go X amount of years, and finally staff are like, you know, cost of living's gone up X, and we haven't got anything. I mean, so it's a fine line, I guess, is what I'm saying, is to evaluate. And I know that you're encumbered with that as the council, but I guess my long verbose again statement is that no, I don't expect every year, but I mean, like everyone, would it be nice every year? Of course. But at the same time, the environment, the productivity is right up there with that, enjoying what you do.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
I'd like to ask you this one. What is your philosophy for developing and implementing the budget for our city?
Well, developing, as I talked around it, I think that with a fiscal year starting October 2, I think that's when you start. I think the department heads need to understand that's when you start. Some projects, some things that we'd like to have, so the fire chief in here, you can't come on October, or can't come in the middle of summer and say, oh, we need $800,000 for a new engine or a new pumper or something. I mean, okay, tell me that, and then in 3 years we can put away X amount each year, and we have a vehicle replacement plan. So I think replacement plans are important through whether it's vehicles, whether it's more capital projects, whether it's technology related stuff. Having that in mind, so you work through and you identify the pros and cons and the strengths and weaknesses, and it's scheduled and it's ready. If things happen to schedules, they can and be put off and delayed. But I think with budgets, you constantly have to be looking at budgets. I don't think there needs to be, any secrets with budgets. I mean, you take the vision, you develop your overall planning for that, and you work towards your vision. You work towards your short and long range plans and action items and work to achieve those. I do also in the vision I was mentioning in one of our private interviews that I like to create, and probably not on every line item, but a lot of items, a level of service spreadsheet that lets you know, and by talking with different department heads, look, if you fund Department X in this area, in this line item, this much, expect a service level of an A if it's great, or a B or a C, or if you do a numeric scale and do it quantitatively. So you know as a council, look, benchmarked with other communities and think people around that with this amount of money, which may be all the money we have, we're giving our residents this service level. Well, the residents want an A service level, so maybe we put more money into that. But to put more money in one area takes money from another, as you know. So I think the budgeting is critical at every day. Closeness to the department heads, closeness to the mayor and council. We have to feel even though we may have a budget retreat, or I don't really call it retreat, a visioning session or whatever. You got to know where the mayor and council are from the start, as we work with staff to prepare and to provide that balanced budget every year. So it's a constant and everyday thing, the budget, and I think it's critical that you handle it that way.
Okay, thank you. One last one. Can you tell your elected officials what they need to hear rather than what they want to hear?
I can. That is a difficult thing. I mean, it's hard sometimes. I mean, a council member shows up to staff and says, I need you to do this. And it's like, it's hard to say, well, you need to have a consensus of the council to do that. I mean, and it's hard to say no, because most time it'll be, yeah, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do that. Right after it. I mean, right on it. But those are type of things that are critical. I mean, you can't, as you know, with every business and even family organizations, you can't have multiple chiefs. And I mean, you look at the organizational chart and it starts with the residents. And the residents elect you. And so then you appoint a city manager, and then, it works down the organizational chart. And it needs, there's reasons for that and needs for that. Obviously with a police or a fire department, there's just individual safety and that you're protecting. But in any organization that's needed. And so telling council, I don't feel like I would be in any way abrupt but I don't have any problem saying, you know what, this is what we recommend, and these are the reasons why. And however, at the end of the day, if the council votes majority a different way than what I've presented, that's the direction we go. Because you guys all have, you walk and talk the community and you represent the whole populace, and you're the final say. So I don't have a problem that way either, even if I felt real strongly, and I will tell you. But we'll do what the council direction is.
Thank you. Anybody else have any further questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've had a chance now to tour the city and to get to know us a little bit. What do you think the city's greatest strengths and weaknesses are?
Okay, that's a good question. I think the city, and I've been here a couple days, but I think that I really get a sense of community. I get a sense of volunteerism, but more of volunteer participation. That people enjoy their city, enjoy being together. I walked over to the baseball field. I had an open few minutes, and it just seemed like people were interacting and enjoying one another's company. I think and it is a bedroom community. I've heard a lot about the schools. I think top-ranked schools in the city. I mean, as I was mentioning also earlier, that schools come at a price. Schools take money out the property tax rolls. But it's something that the community wants, and quality of life, and wants those schools, and wants the ability to walk to schools, and that's perfectly fine. And the community wants beachfront to be left alone. That's okay. If that's, I mean, but then the community needs to understand that all those decisions come at a price. I mean, to get your level of service. I mean, you can't have it all. I mean, that's how you have to find the money. And it goes back to the budgeting. So I think that positive about the city is just the sense of community, the sense of is a real good thing. Speaking again, as the mayor just said, very frankly, I think my envision when I first came here, coming from the West, are California beach cities. Satellite Beach isn't a California beach city. I mean, it's just not. That's not good or bad, but that was what was in my head when I first came out here. So, and still, and it's not to be real critical, but my thing would be, God, I mean, the beautification and the entering the city. I mean, I don't need to this now. I don't know when I'm entering and when I'm leaving, and I mean I was going to say the chief, but the acting city manager / chief. I mean, he knows exactly. It's like, here, this fence line and this. I mean, he knows exactly. I mean, I heard him say that, but it didn't really. I mean, I didn't crazy put into my brain all those things. But feeling that pride where people taking it up on. I mean, I used the analogy, which I believe in, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Using it to the second to top level, right before self-actualization, is a love and belonging where people say, you know what, I love my city. And they talk to people inside and outside, and I love my city. And little things, little tiny beautification things, little things, projects that may not cost a lot of money, can add a lot of value to the city and the residents, I believe. So that would be my just overall, that sense of, I mean, you all know, but somebody that doesn't know has no idea that, I mean, am I in Satellite Beach, or am I in another one, or another city, or whatever? And so making that identity in that, I mean, maybe furthering that identity is a better way to say it.
And is there anything else that you would like us to know about you?
I'm a nice guy, and my mom and dad like me. No, if you choose me, I will work hard for you. I will try to make it an enjoyable time. I mean, I had a director of golf in another area, another city I was in, and I hired him. And one of the key things that stuck out that I haven't used that line here with all of you yet, but I believe in it, and it impressed me with him. In his interview, he says, I'll provide fanatical customer service. Fanatical customer service. Like, yeah, I was like, wow, that's great. Well, and it was sort of a real hot political situation with this golf course. And I mean, when it went to a vote, it was like 51-49. So it passed, but it was 51-49. So it was very divided in the community. And so I thought, this is a great person for this. This is a great person for this. But he started off, I mean, he was kind of over the top. And because he was driven to meet the goals and objectives. And it was hard to sort of, I mean, for me, he was very nice and cordial, and the mayor and council, but the rest of his staff, it was real hard because he wanted to get these things accomplished and wanted it right away. And my job with him was to settle him down, slow him down. It's like, Jim, relax and be a nice guy at the same time. Enjoy the ride. Sometimes we think achieving this goal is our final objective, and we forget about the entire ride to get there. And life happens as we go through that ride. And so that's what I would promote to all of you, that even though I'm very goal-oriented and I will have goals and work hard to implement your vision, I also will promote, as we be productive, to enjoy ourselves as we're being productive, not just staff and council and residents, that we enjoy our community as we live it and as we progress and grow. So, thank you.
Any further questions? Colin, do you have some you'd like to?
I do.
A few of them.
The first one is from Steve Headley, and the question is, the city has been through a contentious political rift over the past 2 years. Are you aware of the rift, and how would you close it?
I can say that I have heard that there has been some I haven't heard the word rift, but some issues within the community. I think a great my thoughts and my immediate response to that would be, that I think there's a place for everyone in the community. I don't know exactly how to answer this. Somebody in the audience, I'm not sure who the gentleman was, but I think there's a place for everyone in the community. I think there's good ideas in the community. I think lots of times people are, and it's human nature, resistant to change, and it's hard to change. At the same time, I think people need to be heard and need to be evaluated, and ideas, and on both sides, that people need to understand that, it's tough when you come in and start demanding, and I don't know if this is what happened, but I'm just saying that generically, that if you come in and demand that something happens, a lot of times walls go up and it's heck no. So the ability to work with everyone, and that's what I would promote, and to listen to everyone and to evaluate and understand everyone, and hopefully vice versa, that it isn't just, yeah, listen to me as long as you do it. I mean, that's hard. I mean, yeah, maybe, but understanding that I'll bring in the open door to listen and to hear and to potentially implement. But a lot of times people don't understand the grand picture, which all of you know because you work with budgets every day. Look, you have so much money to use this. Well, that's restricted money. Oh, I didn't know that. Or that's restricted over here. Or we only have this amount. And I had a council member before saying, great idea, what do you want to cut? Oh, we want a library. Great idea, what do you want to cut? Because just like a family budget, you have a fixed finite amount of money. And okay, we could potentially do this, but what do you want to cut? I mean, because something has to be cut. You don't just continually add and print money. Well, some people do that. But gets us in trouble. But yeah, that's what I would do. I would try to, that's the only thing I can offer, is to listen and to communicate and to try to understand would be the main things.
Next question is from Ebel, and it's, what experience do you have working with and negotiating with police and fire unions and their contracts?
Police and fire unions and their contracts. Who was that said that? Don't raise your hand. That was usually the best thing is, great question. That's not a great question for me because I don't have a lot of experience. It makes my weakness glaring out of me. I don't have a lot of experience directly. I've been involved in many interjurisdictional negotiations with various types of entities, from federal to state to county to public-private, but specifically union labor negotiations and contracts. I do not have direct experience. I guess I fall back on the first part. I'm a pretty smart guy, and my ability. I have observed from a distance. I have networks of other city managers, of other friends, and that I feel very comfortable discussing issues with, and know things about it. But the day-to-day direct negotiation, I don't have experience in it.
Getting short on time, so I'm just going to ask one more. And that is simply, can you tell us about your resignation at Cedar Hills? And this is from B. Gammon.
Okay. Sure. I don't think it was tremendously, as what I hear, different potentially than what happened recently here in Satellite Beach. In the profession of city manager, you work for the mayor and council, and by working for the mayor and council, and you don't have I guess some city managers do, but at any given time, 3 council members can come in and say, we love you to death, however, we're going to go a different direction. And you go a different direction. That's why we do have contracts in the profession, but still, it's a difficult time. In Cedar Hills, there was a citizens group. It initiated with a former council member back in 20 plus years, more than that ago, that headed this group that was vehemently against the development of a golf course in the city and city ownership. And it went through, and I think my understanding of being there, I was there over 10 years, that this gentleman and his group of people that he talked with were very forceful, very demanding, and didn't think we were as transparent or as that things were not on the up and up. And it was explained to him in this group over and over. Anyway, for some reason, and honestly to this day, I don't know why I was the target of it, and or really the mayor who was the target of this group, because in that form of government, the mayor doesn't vote, except for in cases of a tie. There's 5 council members and a mayor, and the mayor gets elected specifically to be a mayor, and only during a 2-2 tie he votes. But we were targeted by this group, and even up into them filing a 67-page, a very lot of complaints to a district judge. The district judge looked at the complaints and said, not only it's not my jurisdiction, I don't see anything wrong, and gave it to a county attorney. County attorney looks at it and didn't even investigate it. Even with us, the city saying, please investigate it, please. He's like, I'm not wasting my resources on this, and got rid of it. But the group continued back, saying, all right, we lost this battle, the war's not over, we're going to, and our litigation, our legal budget in a year and a half before I left probably went 10 times higher than what was budgeted. We were just constantly trying to protect ourselves. Same perfect storm, 3 of the council members, sitting existing council members said, we've had enough of this too, we're not running again. Had enough. And 3 new people got voted in. Well, all this group, they put representatives all to run. They all lost. But the 3 new ones that came in said, you know, we're having a tough time with this too. We want to start new and fresh, a clean slate. And I agreed with them. I mean, that was a tough thing to do at the time. I thought, tomorrow I'll just get another job. And so, and they even said that to me. You're bright, smart, good city manager. You go forth. And so I did. I resigned. They sort of asked me. I mean, it was a discussion. It wasn't but they're like, look, we want to go in a different direction too. We want to eliminate all this negativity in the city, and hopefully that will help. At the same time, and some of you that have Google searched me, our mayor, who to this day I'll stand up for our mayor. He was a great man. He is a great man. And I never, with the city and his business practices, he falsified a loan application. He did wrong. Committed it was with a bank. Federal crime. He's in jail now for a year. Had nothing to do with the city, absolutely nothing to do with the city, nothing, there was never any nefarious activities with the city, but it happened at the exact same time. So all these newspaper articles include me with all of that. And so it's like, I was nothing to do with that. And all these allegations, all these other things, those were public meetings. The council voted for all that. I mean, and they've had audits and did all that stuff and cleared us, but newspapers don't write when you clear the audits. They write the sensational stuff. So that's what happened. That's why I left. I resigned, and I still love the city there. I mean, that's my home right now, and was my home for over 10 years. So that's in a nutshell what happened.
Thank you. Any further questions from council? No? Okay. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Coming.
Appreciate the
Conrad,
opportunity.
thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you.
All right.
That's great.
All right.
Do you want to break for a second? Yeah, I was going to say, we were between that one. Okay. Is that okay? We'll have a break after this one. Okay. Oh, one of those are not.
Your second candidate, Andy Stewart.
Andy, if you would just, so they're a bit more comfortable, no problem. Andy, though each of us have met you, if you would just give a quick introduction yourself for the citizens.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor and council members. My name's Andy Stewart. I'm an applicant for the city manager at the city of Satellite Beach. To give the residents and the commission a little background on myself, I talk about my family first. It's one of the most important things in my life. Been married for 5 years. to Ricky Stewart. I have 2 kids. I have a 8-month-old little boy and a close to 3-year-old little girl, so I have a relatively new family. Received a master's degree in public administration from the University of Central Florida, go Knights, and a bachelor's in financial accounting. My career started actually in college. I worked for Orange County Fire Rescue as more or less a paper pusher to get experience. I knew I always wanted to serve the public. I did an internship in high school and volunteered for my community, which was the city of Auburndale. That's where I was born and raised. Obviously, after that, I went off to college and did some work for Orange County Fire Rescue, as I was saying before, in their finance department. Moved back home, was offered a job as assistant to the city manager for the city of Auburndale. Auburndale has a population of about 13,000 people. So I was able to learn as much as I could from a city manager that had over 20 years experience at the city of Auburndale and very well respected in the management profession. So I worked for him for 5 years, became the assistant city manager in Auburndale, gained some very valuable experience, and then I took a job in Dundee, Florida, which is located between Orlando and Tampa, really 2 hours west of here, beside Winter Haven, Legoland, for those of you that may not be familiar with Dundee. And Dundee has a population, I believe, of 3,300 to 3,400 people. So I've been the town manager for the town of Dundee for 5 years. I enjoy serving the public. I enjoy my job as a city manager. And I am excited to be here at Satellite Beach, and it's been a great process thus far, and that's sort of a summary of myself.
Thank you, Andy. Who'd like to start?
Sir.
Yeah, please.
Why should you be selected as the city manager of Satellite Beach?
First and foremost, I've enjoyed all the candidates that are here today. I think they're all qualified individuals. When I applied for the job, first and foremost, I have a great community that I serve, and I have a great bunch of city commissioners that I work for, and they're all very supportive of me in Dundee. But as I looked at the job advertisement, I looked at the city was looking for someone with 5 to 8 years of experience as a city manager. I looked at the 8 schools that this community has. I looked at it's a beach community. It's a wonderful, beautiful community. And I was really looking to a place to bring my family to where I can settle down and plant my roots. That's one of the most important things. And I was looking for a city that could provide some stability for me in the city management position as well. Your previous city manager was here quite a while, and that was very attractive to me to apply for a position where a city manager has some tenure in a city. You have a great recreational facilities. I've toured your park. I actually took a tour with the previous city manager this week, and very professional city manager, and accomplished a lot while he was here, and it was very informative to go around and see all of the different facilities and all the things that Satellite Beach has to offer my family, and most importantly, my professional career. I'm looking to, like I said, I grew up in Auburndale, and I was the assistant in Auburndale, and Auburndale reminds me quite a bit of this community. It's just shifted 2 hours west. We've got great recreational facilities there. The people of the city's small enough, but not too big to where you can't get to know everybody that wants to know you. And I'm that type of person. I'm a people person. I enjoy meeting with residents. I enjoy being out in the community. I enjoy taking care of residents' issues, and I enjoy serving the commission and setting and carrying out the policies that the commission desires me to do. So I just looked at the job description, can come back to your question, and I read everything about it, and I sent it to my wife, and we read it probably 20 times since then. And I said, this is the right choice. This is the right place to put my application in at this stage in my career, and I hope I have the opportunity to become your next city manager.
I have one more question. What would you do the first 6 months if you were hired in Satellite Beach?
Obviously,
I couldn't hear the question.
The same question. What would you do the first 6 months if you were hired in Satellite Beach?
Obviously, the budget is something that is going to be needed to be worked on. I don't know when I imagine by September you have to have your your budget adopted here at the city. But, you know, the first several weeks, first month, I would introduce myself to the staff and get to know maybe the commission, get to know their goals and visions a little bit more than just from an hour interview. I would get to know some, you know, the Chamber of Commerce, and just really get to know my department heads, and that would be probably my first month on the job. After that, obviously, the budget would be an important process to see how that's worked in the past, to obviously meet with your acting city manager, Jeff Pearson, who could really be a city manager in the city. If he wasn't a police chief, he'd probably be hired for this job, I would imagine. So to listen to his ideas and tell me how it's been done in the past, and maybe add a little things to it, but probably make no major changes. But the budget is a very important process for the city manager, and one of the most important things he would do each year. So most certainly the first 6 months would be budget, and then getting to know the city and its residents would be obviously in the first 6 months.
Andy and I, we talked about a lot of different things this morning. One of the things that we didn't talk about is, you know, financially, you know, the position that not only our city but your city is in, and then looking at if you were the person and, you know, we came to some agreement on a compensation package, when would you be, as far as looking at raises, would you expect a raise every year? You know, how would you approach that when you wanted to come to council?
I'm sorry.
I don't think that's you.
Me?
I don't think so.
The way I've approached the obviously, I mean, if you ask me about compensation, you know, I understand that compensation should be relative to your area, relative to your position, and relative to your qualifications. So, and it should be, you know, a fair compensation. That's, I think, what everybody expects. As far as the raises go in Dundee, I haven't asked for a raise in 4 years. And unfortunately, I believe the first year that I was a city manager, we were able to give a 3% cost of living. But for the past 3 years, we've just simply not been able to do that. We are a small town, and I did get with the employees, and I did let them know, and we have done salary surveys and those things, and we are going to work towards that. And I've made that made that known to my employees that, you know, it's been a tough 3 years. And a lot of employees have had to do double the work, just simply because the town was in a state of financial emergency when I took over as a city manager. So it took several years to it took 1 year. We were able to eliminate that, and now we do have a reserve and some contingencies, and so now we can look back at doing what I think is right and treating our employees as fair as possible. But for me, I haven't had a raise, and I don't really, my contract would more than likely read as if the city employees get a raise, that I get a raise. So that way, if there is no cost of living adjustment or raises being given, you know, it would affect me the same way it would affect my employees.
And you did get to ride around with Mike and look at the city. I know that you know where our redevelopment district is, and I know that you're aware of the 100 acres that we're looking at. Mm-hmm. The vision that you have for what Satellite Beach can do with those areas, if you would just share that. I know you and I talked about it, but if you would just share that with the public.
Can we get that stopped?
Is that on? Here. I'll give you one minute.
I can talk louder. My job as a city manager is to not come in with, you know, I have vision, you know, don't mistake that. But my job is not to come in a city that obviously that has done a lot of planning over the years, you know, and has planning of their own currently taking place. My job is not to come in and say we should be doing this or we should be putting up this type of development or growth on the 100-acre parcel. My job is to get everybody at the table and to come up with a plan that works for all the residents, that works for as many residents as possible, and that works for the majority of the commission and all the stakeholders involved. And that would be my job, is to reach out to those individuals involved in the 100-acre parcel, see where we're at first, see what's been accomplished, and then see how to bring everybody together at the table to come up to one common goal and then work towards that goal. And a lot of it is relationships. If you drive through my city now, a lot of things that we've accomplished is because we've had relationships. We have a relationship with we have one of the largest packing houses in the state of Florida for citrus in our community, and we've been able to capitalize on that. We've been able to sell some properties, some old city facilities, and build new ones because they needed those properties to expand their existing business. So relationships and partnerships are important. So I'm sure there's a big relationship with the military, the Air Force Base being there. There's a big relationship with the developer, and all those people have to be on the same page. And the residents have a big input in the process, and as they should. So I would feel that, it'd be an insult to this commission for me to come with I have my own ideas, but my goal is to put my own ideas through the process and inject those ideas through the process like everybody else would have the opportunity to do so. So I do have vision. I do, I've had to, if I'm asked to do a project and complete the project, I see what it's going to look like before it's completed. So I do have vision, but I think it's important that you bring everybody to the table, and it's not just my vision, it's everyone's vision.
When you saw our recreation facilities, was the dog park one of your favorites? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll take my girl down there if I'm hired to play with other people's dogs, but right now I can't.
Well, you'll have to put her in the small yard.
Yeah, she loves dogs, that's for sure.
Here's the question I told you to expect. What do you see as our city's 3 greatest challenges at this time, and how would you address them?
I see maybe the 3 greatest challenges. Obviously, what always comes up is the 100-acre parcel on A1A. I think that's a challenge, but I also think that is an opportunity that no other city, probably along this coast or within the nearest 200-300 miles, has an opportunity to do something from scratch. It's vacant land. So it's important that the city does that right, and if it's done right, it will be a tremendous improvement not only for the residents, but it'll also help find that fine balance between, I think, commercial, residential, and being able to possibly down the line maybe take the burden off the residents for paying for all the city services. I think it's important that that project's done right because it will represent a large ad valorem revenue to the city if it's completed and done right. Secondly, I think that I believe the city has sort of gone through a transition period. I think that I would be able to come in and provide stability back to the city manager's position. I've worked for 11 years in the profession, 5 years as an assistant in Auburndale, 4 years in Dundee as a city manager. So I have the know-how to be a manager, I understand how the different department levels work. While I don't micromanage, I don't want to, that is not my job, but my job is, at least I've had the experience to do that, and I've worked my entire career to position myself to advance to a larger city. The second challenge, obviously the ad valorem revenues that we just talked about, but the second challenge, and the second challenge that I just touched on, is to kind of restore some public confidence in city government. I think, as I said before, I have the experience. I also I'm a people person. If you're looking for somebody that's going to sit behind a desk and play boss, don't hire me, because I like to be out and take care of people's issues and go out to the actual where the problem is and see what their problem is and give that hands-on and that personal touch to my job. I enjoy that. So I think that would help restore some of the confidence back in the government, and also it's time to move forward. It's not time to look back. I think there's a healing process that's taken place, and I think a new manager coming on board can help move the city forward. I'm not here to go back in time. That doesn't do any good for anybody, and we need to progress. Thirdly, I think the CRA is a big issue. I feel that my previous experience as a CRA director for the city of Auburndale, I'm knowledgeable of CRAs. I understand that they are sort of a double-edged sword. You get the county tax dollars coming back to that area. The tax increment financing is a wonderful thing. However, on the other hand, it takes away from your general fund. So you need to find a way to continue to move the CRA forward. Once again, maybe come back to the plan, revisit your plan there for the CRA, see if you've got a feasible capital improvements program, work on your budgeting. The CRA budget's an important part. You could possibly look at, I know that the current city commission sits as the CRA board, which I think is great because there is a marriage there between the CRA board and the city. You guys are headed towards the same direction, and a lot of times cities have different CRA boards, and the CRA board's going one direction, and the city commission wants something else. So I think you've got the structure okay for the CRA board in the city, as it's sitting as the board for the city commission, sitting as the CRA board. But I think you just need somebody to come in and be able to look at maybe the organizational structure. I know you guys are looking at a CRA director, you're looking at some other positions within the CRA, and see if there needs to be a change made there. And all I can do is make recommendations to the commission. At the end of the day, it's for the commission to set the policies and move the city forward. So I would say the CRA is an issue, maybe a concern that I hear a lot here. Public, restoring a little bit of the confidence in the public, some of the public's trust, whether there's anything wrong or not, it just, moving forward always helps. And then the 100-acre parcel would be the three challenges that I see for the city of Satellite Beach. But other than that, those aren't really challenges. Those are things that just come with part of being a city.
You've had a chance to take a look at us, had a tour, and you've learned a little bit about us. What do you consider to be our city's greatest strengths and weaknesses?
I think your greatest strengths is when my wife and I first came here before the tours, and we drove around, and I think one thing I noticed was a lot of people that live here, they live here because it is a community. It's not you don't have a population of 40,000, you're not in Fort Lauderdale, you're in a beach community, and people work elsewhere and live in this community where they raise their families. When they get off work, they go to, as Councilmember Deans goes to the baseball park. I mean, there are a lot of cities that don't have those facilities. They have to go to the county fields 30 miles away to take their kids to baseball. When I grew up in a small city in Lake Alfred, we had baseball fields. We had 2 small fields, and those are the best memories of my life, is playing Little League baseball there. And some cities, including Dundee, our kids got to go down and play at the county facility. It's something that's said about being a city facility. And you've got the park there by the library. I apologize, I don't, the one that's that you owe $100 on. It's a big problem to have.
$100 park, yeah.
Yeah, sports and recreation park.
Sports, yes. I mean, just a great facility. I mean, where else would you want to raise your kids? So, may have gotten off the track and totally forgot your question, but I hope that was the answer.
That'll work. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll ask, what is your philosophy for developing, and implementing the budget for our city?
Developing a budget, I'm sure the city has a process. I'd like to see how that goes. I'm sure way well in advance of presenting the budget to the commission. I'm sure that the department heads have an opportunity to submit their budgets, to the manager, and then the manager sit down with each department head and go over the budget. With each of the department heads, and then the manager usually takes some time to look at all the requests from the departments and goes through and makes cuts that he sees to balance the budget, and then gets back with the department head and lets them know, here's what we see. But before the cuts are made, to definitely work with each of the department heads to determine why they need that and whether or not they can live without it for another year. Obviously, if you don't have good budgeting practices, you'll find yourself in a bad financial shape over a period of time. So the good thing about being in the town of Dundee is I haven't really ever had the pleasure of having the finance director that can be able to, the first 3 years or until now, I've done the budget myself, just because I've had fairly new finance directors that aren't really knowledgeable of government finances. So I have a good understanding of the general fund and the enterprise fund, and I have a good understanding of how to put a budget together because I've quite simply done it myself. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've been able to, in a bad financial time, with ad valorem revenues decreasing, we've been able to turn around the city's finances in Dundee. We have, I think, $500,000 in reserves that's in our audit from last year. Now this year, may go down, may go up a little. But we've been able, $1 million in cash we've been able to put back in the bank in 4 years. And without reducing the services, without cutting anybody's positions, and we've done that through good budgeting practices. So that's a very important part of the job, and I'm able to put together good budgets, and I work with department heads and do it the way that most managers, professional managers, put together budgets.
Thank you. Any other questions from council?
Yeah, just anything else that would you like us to know about you?
No, I think I'm a sincere person. I think that I would not be here at the city of Satellite Beach if I did not want to be here. Obviously this is a professional move for me, but I can tell you that, and I've said this several times, if I've had to move around every 3 years as a city manager, I would not be in this profession. So, at the end of the day, my job is to do a professional job for the city. My job is to set forth and carry out the policies of the entire commission. And, my job is to serve the residents. I like, to take care of their needs. I think that's what they come to City Hall for. I believe in open government, and that's not a bad thing. Everything in government is public record. So, if you call it like it is, you'll be a successful city manager because there is no secrets. So, I like to lay my head on the pillow at night and go to sleep. And at the end of the day, I just want the commission to know that the process has been great, and I also like the commission to know that your citizens are very, have a lot of history here, a lot of them that I've talked to, a lot of them, retired military as well, from what I see. But the residents truly love the community, and yes, they research the heck out of everything about you, I'm sure, and all the other applicants, but they do it, I think, because they want to make sure this is a big decision for, I think, the city. It's not something you guys have done every year, and that's why I think you have qualified candidates applying for the job. It's because you don't have a high turnover in city managers. So that's why I want to be here. I appreciate the process. Mr. Basinger, I was talking to him earlier. The city has done a great job, and this is the way it should be done when you hire a city manager. Whether or not it's me or someone else, you guys have done a great job at that. And I appreciate the accommodations, and I just appreciate everything about the process. So that'd be all I have.
Thank you very much. Is there any comments? Please.
Okay. First question is, the city's been through a contentious political rift over the past 2 years. Are you aware of it? And what would you do to close it?
Yes, I'm aware of it. I want to say 90% of the people that I've had discussions with have told me about the political rift. My job as a city manager is to remove myself from that and do what I think is right and present accurate information to the commission to make informed decisions. My job is also to handle issues and follow through with citizens' concerns or complaints the best way that I can. The worst part about sometimes, and even with me, is I go into City Hall or I go into a government building and you don't get good customer service. And I think if you provide good customer service, you follow through with your residents, you participate in events, you're out in the community, that those types of issues will go away. The rift will be gone within 6 months. My type of personality is move forward. I've dealt with the political issues in Dundee when I first became manager. I had to hear about all the other managers. I had to hear, but you just move forward and you listen because it's part of the healing process. But eventually, I think the city, whoever they select, is going to have the mentality of let's move forward and let's be progressive and let's not go backwards. So that's how I would handle that.
And the last question is, what experience do you have working with and negotiating with police and fire unions and their contracts?
When I was, this goes back to being the assistant city manager in Auburndale, And the current job I'm in, let me come to that real quick. We outsource we're such a small town that we outsourced our police department before I was the city manager to the sheriff's department. That's okay. The sheriff's department in Polk County is very professional. There are benefits to that, and there are negatives to that. I'm still not sure where I stand on that. But the fire department is a volunteer fire department for Dundee, and we do have firefighters that work from 8 to 5. So, we do provide fire and EMS services, but we don't transport on the fire department, and we don't have any unions in Dundee. I'm proud to say that. There's nothing wrong with unions. In Auburndale, we had a police union, and that I would negotiate with our labor attorney with the police officers. Actually, the union dissolved while I was there. We had an approach from the management side of it was that, we try to give everybody the same benefits. We're all in this together. We're all city employees, and we try to do right with everyone. And so I did have some opportunities to negotiate with the police department for 3 years while there was a union there. My 4th year, I didn't have to negotiate because they disbanded. They saw no need for the union, I guess, and they voted not to have it. So that was, I think that was a positive thing, really, for management that took place. But, the police and fire have every right to be a part of a union, and you treat the process with professionalism, and you go through the process with the labor attorney and their attorney. And at the end of the day, I hope, it works for the city and the firefighters or police officers. So I've had experience in negotiating with unions, and confident that I could do that here.
Thank you. Any further comment from council? Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andy.
It's a little bit after 2. Take a 15-minute break between.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll recess for approximately 15 minutes. Ready to present? We'll reconvene our special council meeting, and Colin, introduce.
Yes, our next victim is Courtney Barker.
No pressure.
And
Courtney, welcome.
Thank you.
If you would, even though we've all talked to you, would please introduce yourself and tell a little bit about yourself to the audience.
Sure.
Thank you.
My name is Courtney Harris Barker. I live in Satellite Beach. My husband and I have 2 children, and currently I work.
Could you get the microphone closer?
Currently, I work for the City of Titusville. I'm the Planning and Growth Management Director there. I've been there for approximately 10 years, and now I'm applying for this position so I can work for my hometown community and hopefully work here until retirement. That's my goal.
Thank you. Would you like to start, Sharon?
Courtney, why should you be selected as the new city manager for Satellite Beach?
I think I definitely have the skill set. In my current position, I do a lot of not only running my department, I do a lot of budgeting. I work a lot with personnel policy. I work a lot with citywide policy. So I think I have the qualifications to be the next city manager. But in addition to that, I think I have the passion for the community and compassion for the residents that I think sets me apart from the other candidates.
And then, I'll go back to my question. What would you do the first 6 months if you were hired?
For the first 6 months, I would get to know the internal processes of the city. I know I'm very familiar with your goals as city council, but I'd like to get to know them better. I'd like to get to know the internal processes of each department better. I know a lot of the department heads, but I don't know a lot of the lower level staff, and I'd like to get to know their goals as departments and look at what do we need to accomplish in terms of budgeting and adding resources to the departments. I know the last 5 years we've been subtracting a lot of resources from the departments. And then I'd also like to jumpstart the CRA get some good projects going and work with the committee to design those projects and come up with some immediate and long-term goals for the CRA. I'm very, very good at helping a large group of citizens come together and put together a plan, take that plan to put together projects, and then take those projects to implementation, and that's something I just love doing. The other thing I'd like to do is put together a nice budget for you that meets all your goals and deliver it at the end of 6 months. So that's pretty much what I would be focusing on for the first 6 months.
Could you describe some of the opportunities you see in not only the development of the 100 acres that we have, but also in the redevelopment district that we already have in place?
We have a lot of opportunities coming up. It's in terms of redevelopment. A1A is, the resurfacing project with FDOT is scheduled now for 2016. So there is a big opportunity there to partner with them, look at doing some access management, crosswalks to our beach accesses, looking at sidewalks, especially on the west side of A1A, and doing some major improvements to A1A in partnership with DOT, and hopefully get some of that paid for by DOT. And, we do have an access management plan that was done some years ago, so we can revive that. And so a lot of the planning, I think, has been done. We just need to put it together, get everybody to agree on what we want to accomplish and move forward with DOT and try to get that done. The other issues, I think, with non-conforming lots, we have a lot of opportunities there to look at combining some of our stormwater goals with our CRA, looking at regional stormwater systems for some of these lots, and also combining that with some of our TMDL needs for the future. I think that's a big opportunity. And we do have some vacant buildings that, as a citizen, I have to be concerned with when we drive through, and I'd like to see us kind of proactively go for trying to get those filled and trying to get those renovated and move forward with some of our grants. So I think that's a great opportunity.
And if you are chosen and we negotiate a package for you and a year goes by, or are you going to be looking for additional money after the first year? I mean, how do you see the implementation of raises going forward for you?
I think for me, I would, hope that any implementation of raises would go along with the performance evaluation, and then you have to be happy with me to make that happen. So, no, I don't see me asking for more money in a year. But I think if you set a good performance evaluation process and put together an agreement for any raise after a period of time attached to good performance, I'd like to see that.
That's all right.
Hi. The question I told you would be coming, what do you think are our city's 3 most pressing issues, and how would you address them?
I see a lot of issues with kind of a lack of, for a lack of a better word, a lack of experience in managing the CRA and managing the development process. That I'd like to try to put together some processes and procedures for that. So I think that realm is a pressing issue. And I see, basically trying to put together some resources back into some of the departments that have lost so much over the past 5 years. So I know that, there's some departments that are looking for some technology improvements. We need to focus on that and try to increase their efficiencies and try to fund those initiatives so we can basically operate more efficiently and take some of the pressure off them.
Was that 3?
Oh, I'm sorry. And I think the third would be, I know you have an interest in your salary survey. I'd like to see, us try to, when we get the results of that, try to follow through if we can afford it. to try to compensate some of the staff and not having a raise in the last 5 years. And then, well, I can stop at 3.
You can do 4.
Okay. Some of the other issues I see are some of your smaller projects. Like you have a lot of kind of a list of things you want to accomplish. You know, you had the CIP, you have your right-of-way and easement vacation ordinance. You have some of your non-conforming lots issues with the CRA. Some of those smaller issues I think are pretty like low-hanging fruits that we can get done really fast, and that's something I can help with very quickly.
And you know this city well, and what do you think are Satellite Beach's greatest strengths and weaknesses?
I think Satellite Beach's greatest strength is our sense of community, easily. I think the fact that we have our parades and our you know, our rec center and our community center and our skate park and all of those things that make our city special. And you know, when I can go to Publix and I can't get out of Publix because I have to talk to 5 or 6 people on the way out, I mean, that's why I live here, and that's why I enjoy living here. So I think that's our greatest asset. And I think it's amazing how many volunteers volunteer for this city. I think that speaks volumes for how much people care about it. And that's part of the sense of community that I'm talking about. That's our greatest strength. Our weakness, I think, is I think we need to be able to get things done a little faster. And particularly with the redevelopment, I'd like to see, you know, I'd like to help move things along a little quicker in that arena. And I think that when we look at development approvals, I think we have an opportunity there to make that happen a little quicker as well. So I'd like to assist in that manner as well.
In addition to whatever the mayor is going to ask you, is there anything else that you would like us to know about you?
I think you all know me somewhat well, but I am very, very energetic. I love what I do. And I know a lot of people can't believe that I've had you know, that I can work as much as I do with my family, but I really do enjoy what I do. And I live and breathe my job in addition to my family. And if I am chosen to be the next city manager, you'd see that same dedication here.
Thank you. Capital improvement plan in the city here. Give me your take on what we need to do to bring this plan into being.
You know, I see a capital improvement plan as a budgetary tool, and we should have a 5-year capital improvement plan in the budget. I think, in addition to our comp plan for capacity improvements, but I think our budget should have a 5-year capital improvement plan. And you know, it takes a little analysis to do that. So I know our acting city manager was talking about debt service, you know, freeing up some debt service in 2014. It's that type of analysis that you need to look at. And, you know, if you have a debt service freeing up in 2014, what are you going to fund that year with that, you know, with that money that is freed up? What kind of funds are they? What can they be used for? And apply them to the next project and kind of move that down the line. But it should be a serious document and one that, you know, you all understand. And that's how we get our planning. That's how we know what grants to go after when we're going after grants, the timing of the grants. So I think, you know, it's more than just adding all the projects you have to get done in the next 5 years. It's really timing them. That's the trick. And I think I'm pretty good at that. And I think it's easy to do when you know that analysis has to take place.
Thank you. One more. What is your philosophy for developing and implementing a budget?
The philosophy is to start early, start with you, and start with your goals, and then start with the departmental needs, and you just drill down from there. And that's really, what are we desperately needing? What do we want? And, presenting that to you. And what are your goals for how much you're, willing to move up and down in terms of millage? So, again, start early. And, I come from a community that has very little resources, and I'm used to not having a lot to work with and being very creative on how to get things done with very little. And I think I bring that same philosophy here. Being efficient is very, very important, and efficiency improvements would occur first before program enhancements.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions from council?
Okay, these are from the citizens. I have two. The first question is, the city has been through a contentious political rift over the past 2 years. Are you aware of it? And how would you close it?
I'm definitely aware of it.
I would think so.
But I think, political rifts can be healed over time, I think, if people want them to be healed. And what I can do to help is, a lot of times people will say the same thing and want the same thing, they're just saying it different, or, expressing it differently and acting out differently. And once you can convey it in a different way, people will come to an agreement. And really, compromise, but, the citizens and people supporting the city have to also want to close the rift as well.
Okay. Second question is, what experience do you have working with and negotiating with police and fire unions and their contracts?
I have never sat at the union table, and I'd like to be honest about that. But I have been very, very involved in the strategies that go to the table. So, where I work in the city of Titusville, all the department heads work in a group to assist the city manager. So we all report directly to the city manager, and we come up with all of the strategies that go to city council together, and we work as a team to do that. So we've done both pension reform as well as OPEB, and we've done a lot of improvements to our health care as well.
I have one other question, if I may. You mentioned your city manager, and that is Mr. Mark Ryan, who has an excellent reputation as a city manager throughout this community. And so my question to you would be, how do you feel he has mentored you to prepare you to become city manager?
Mark and I have a great working relationship. I think a lot of the ideas that we come up with are in his office with their feet up eating chocolate at 5:30 in the afternoon. So that's how we came up with our Women's Center project, and so we have a good creative team building process there. He is a very, very good city manager in that respect. He's very creative, and he shares a lot with us. He takes our advice, and I have learned a lot from him over the years. And I think because of our relationship, as well as my relationship with other city managers in Brevard County, I will have a constant resource in everything I do.
And there was a reference in your materials to relationships that you have established with other entities. Can you address that briefly? You're on a working relationship with what sorts of organizations? I am in a working relationship with every planning director in Brevard County. I'm in a working relationship with many city managers in Brevard County.
as well as the county. We have a great partnership with the county, and we work very well with the county together. We implement, with our economic development projects up in North Brevard. The county commissioner is a huge partner with us. And with that comes partnerships with all the staff and the city managers there. So I work with Stockton Winton on a regular basis. I have Mel Scott's number on speed dial, so I know who to call, and I will always get assistance when I do. We have a great relationship.
Any further questions?
No, thank you.
Any further questions? Courtney, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney.
I'll make it to casino.
It doesn't feel like a Wednesday night.
Yeah, really. Sure said.
I know.
It doesn't feel like a Wednesday night.
Hi, Armando.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Our final candidate, now that the grill's good and hot, is Armando Martinez, and we'll let you say a few words about yourself.
First of all, I'd like to thank the board, the staff, the citizens for the warm welcoming you guys gave us. I can tell you I'm really touched by this community. I'm touched by all of you. It's a great place to work. It's a great place to be a neighbor, and you guys are great people, and I think everybody's blessed to be able to live here in Satellite Beach and be able to work here in Satellite Beach. I can tell you, I see in a lot of your employees and your directors a lot of me. I can tell you that when you did your search for a city manager, I think I said this to some of you, I thought you were writing about me. Gee, that's me, I can do that. That's me, I can do that. I love people. I was raised by my grandparents and my parents who were working. Strong family values, come from a strong family background, highly ethical, need to do the right thing, honest, integrity, caring about people, and very important for me to be able to interact with people, work with people, get to know them on a first name basis, that they feel that they have in me not a city manager but a neighbor that they can come to with their problems, that I have as much invested in this community as they do. I highly experienced. It's amazing, but the road that I had to get here to Satellite Beach, sometimes, you think of why does God do things in certain ways, but I started off, as you all know, in a career in law enforcement. And by the way, I told the chief I'm not interested in being the chief of police. I want to be your city manager, not the chief, okay? And I think that I had to travel that road. I think that I had to do the 30 years in public service and be able to deal with people in crisis situations and, hurricanes and command situations and distress situations and public safety. And then go to Bunnell and learn a lot about lifting a city that's really dependent on needs. You guys are way ahead of my current endeavor where I'm working right now. I can tell you that this is a diamond. Where you're living. Your future is not bleak. It's very bright. As a matter of fact, if you hire me, we're going to have to put a line item that we're going to get sunglasses for everybody because it's going to be so bright our future, you're going to have to wear sunglasses, okay? But it's a great place. I just can't tell you how excited I am just to be here interviewing for this job and the opportunity to serve you and serve this community. And that's Armando. I'm not going to pretend to tell you I'm something I'm not. I'm who you see here, because you'll find out quick if I'm lying to you. First of all, when we're living next to you, I'm going to be your neighbor. So this is who I am. I'm very genuine. And I'm here to answer any questions that you want. And I don't want to take too much of my time in my intro, because I know there's probably a lot of questions you want to ask me. Thank you.
Armando, why should you be selected as the new city manager of Satellite Beach?
You know, I'd be lying to you if I didn't look and read about my competition. They read about me and I read about them. I think that all the people are qualified. I think that they're all nice people. I think I've made 3 friends in the past 2 days. But I do think I have the experience. I do think I have the background. And I do think that I'm not just one-phased, I'm multi-phased. I believe my track record proves that I am a productive producer and that I can work with people and that I have leadership skills, which is what your staff is looking for. I think the staff here is excellent. I want to go on the record and say you have a great staff, okay? I think that what they're looking for is somebody that will help them take the city forward, and I think I have those qualities. In addition to that, in addition to the track record, I think I understand Florida. Most of my career has been here in Florida. I've been living in Brevard County for the past 7 years. I've selected this community as my community, even though I'm not living necessarily in Satellite Beach, but it's the place I've selected to live. And as the headhunter will tell you, Colin will tell you, I don't apply anywhere. I only apply in this region here because this is where I want to be. So I can hit the floor running from day one. I can start working for day one. I was up at 3 in the morning so excited about all the possibilities and things that we can do here in Satellite Beach. I'm really excited about the job, and I think that I can probably bring everything that you want to your city, leadership. I think that I can bring stability. I think I can bring guidance and working with the directors, and I can make your team a cohesive team and give them the guidance that they need.
And what would you do for the first 6 months if you were hired as the new city manager?
The first and most important thing is, of course, to meet with the officials and ask them, what is your vision? I want to know what my bosses want. And technically, I'm going to meet with them too. I'm going to throw myself out there, have community meetings and find out what our bosses want and get a clear direction. Then I'm going to meet with staff and work staff and ask staff what they think their visions are and what their weaknesses are. It's very important that whatever we do it together. It's not going to be my plan, it's going to be our plan. So I need to get with staff and I need to ask them, number one is, where are the weaknesses and what do you need to get the job done? What are the obstacles that have prevented you from getting the job done? And let's work together. This is what the community and our bosses want. Let's develop this plan together. If I develop that plan with staff, staff gets buy-in, and we're all working not on Armando's plan, we're working on our plan. So it's very important. Then we need to immediately start addressing some of the issues that you have. You have development needs that you need to do, and I have an idea on how we can do some of those with your property and your land. You have CRA issues that you need to look at. You have infrastructure issues that we need to look at. And I think one of the things that we need to do also, and I'd be looking for, is to bring my own ideas on how I've been able to take a distressed community, which my track record shows I've done, and come here and start working on some of the needs that this city has without raising property taxes, okay? And trying to cause some relief for the citizens here. I'd work hard with staff, and I'm not going to make a campaign promise that I can't keep, okay? But I would work hard with staff to see how we can keep property taxes down and try to come up with creative ways, as I did where I'm in my current endeavor now, to bring extra revenues to the city.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm going to ask the same question I've asked everyone else, and this is one of the things that we didn't talk about when we were together, but we hire you, we negotiate a contract, raises. Would you be looking for something yearly? How would you address that with the council?
I'm going to tell you what Armando's about. When I took the job in Bunnell, okay, I had a lot of perks on my contract, okay? And when I saw the city couldn't afford it, I volunteered those perks away. I gave up like $12,000 in benefits from my own contract to help the city. And the reason I did that was because I didn't want to have to lay off employees. I cut a lot of training out, a lot of things out. Sir, I'm not going to be looking for any particular raise. If my employees don't get a raise, I don't want a raise. Okay, when my employees get a raise, then you can consider me for a raise. But if they don't get one, I don't get one.
Okay.
That's my position on that.
You've driven around the city. You know the area that we're looking at developing, and you also know the CRA area. Do you have any ideas on different approaches that can be taken on both of those scenarios?
Yeah, I have ideas. I have a million ideas. My head is continuously working. I was over there in the room by myself thinking of all the things that we can do. A million ideas. Look, this is a great community to live, okay? And it offers a great lifestyle for us, okay? And I say us because I'm already thinking that I'm a part of you, okay? But, like, for example, let's take those 100 acres, and I understand in speaking with some of you that there's some restrictions on some of the things that you can do. But you need to develop those 100 acres where we also add to the quality of life of the people that are living here. So, and this is just an idea, and this is just not something I'll do. Of course, it'd have to be buy-in from the community and from the council. But what's wrong with taking some of those acreage, putting some land to the side and putting a theater so people can go to the movies, bringing in some high-end restaurants that people, if they want to eat and walk, and like a little town center park? Because I know you have a strip mall. We really don't have a downtown. So maybe we can have like a little downtown where people can, if they want to go to a restaurant that has some seating outside, and we can do something like that where it doesn't compete or necessarily conflict with any of the restrictions that the military's put on there. And then again, have community meetings and meet with the people and see exactly, do a visioning session and get from the community, what do they want? Maybe that's not what they want. Maybe they want just single-family residences, and that's where we'll go. But you got to give them the options, and you got to educate the community, and you need somebody that's going to go to Washington, sit down with that colonel or that general, go across the table, say, hey, sir, how you doing? How are you? My name's Armando. I represent Satellite Beach, and let's talk. What can we do? How can we do this? You know, what are our options here? What are the limitations? Wouldn't it be great if your military personnel can come to Satellite Beach and they can buy a suit, or they can eat at a nice restaurant, and they don't necessarily have to go over the bridge all the time? Wouldn't you think that'd be something to help you? Would you be willing to work with me? You got to be somebody that opens doors and establishes relationships. That's how I was able to do a lot and accomplish a lot in the city that I am in, by opening doors, establishing relationships, and getting the respect of the people across the table that know you're in it for the right thing, that you don't have an agenda. Your agenda is just to serve the community that you're working. So there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of possibilities. I think that you have, like, for example, right next to it, you have where you can do multi-story buildings, where you can do multi-story buildings, and there's nothing to say that on the first floor. You can include some more commercial if you want to, and have some shops and things like that. But those are just my ideas. Just because they're my ideas, it doesn't mean that I'm going to implement, because I don't come into a community with, this is my way or the highway. I come into the community, guys, these are my ideas, but maybe that's not what you want. Tell me what you want. So what I'd be looking for is visioning, talking to the community, letting the community tell me what they want, letting you tell me what you want, and then fighting for it, okay, as if it was what I want, okay, and trying to get you the best I can.
Hi, the question I told you to expect, what do you consider to be Satellite Beach's 3 most pressing issues, and how would you address them?
Well, number one, definitely your future. We need to look at development, and we need to look at how we're going to do that. We also need to look at that once we develop a plan and we decide, especially for the development of that land and how it's going to go, then we need to come up with out-of-the-box ideas on how we're going to market it. We are a jewel here in Satellite Beach. This is a treasure. You are a paradise. But how many people know it, and how many people know that we're ready to develop? So something simple. Bright House will do a commercial for $800. Put it on Channel 13. How many people go to Disney World every day from all over the United States and maybe even internationally that might want to invest? So before they go to Disney World, they turn on Channel 13 to see what the weather, and there's our commercial of Satellite Beach. Oh my God, Satellite Beach, what a great place. I remember that place when we put our website out there. We got to market ourselves too. It's not very expensive. There's inexpensive ways to do that, and that's just one idea. I know it's kind of simplistic, but I'm a simple person sometimes. Sometimes things don't have to be so convoluted where you sort of like stop yourself before you start. that would be one in getting our development needs. Certainly looking back at our CRA and seeing how we can best use that. CRA is not necessarily a bad thing. I have a CRA where I'm at now. We're currently looking at it, except where I'm at now, we're $25 million in the negative. That means that our base year, the values have depreciated so much that we have to go up $25 million before we start getting any TIF dollars, which is not your problem here. So what am I doing now? We're going to look at the CRA. We're going to either start over and reboot it, or we're going to go to the new base year. I certainly wouldn't look at expanding the CRA because you need money to come into the general fund too, but I'm certainly looking at where the distressed areas are to use that money. For example, you can use money for infrastructure in the CRA. Well, let's use some of the CRA money to fix some of the infrastructure in the area. You can use money for maybe law enforcement in this area. You can. You just got to adapt it and stay within the guidelines that the CRA says you need to use it for. So maybe I get with the chief of police and the chief, let's come up with a way that, your officers can contribute and the CRA can maybe help the general fund with some of your salaries. Whatever I do, I don't do anything illegal, immoral, or unethical. Okay? I do everything within the law. I guess it's my nature as a cop that I do that. But, to cause relief to the citizens and try to maximize on whatever dollars we're getting for the CRA. And then, of course, I think we're a little upside down with the contributions to what the county contributes as opposed to what you contribute. I think you contribute almost more than double than what they do. So maybe another option is maybe we need to reduce the boundaries of the CRA and maybe put more money into the general fund. Maybe that's a solution. I do know that we need to do something financially because finances is the third thing that we need to do. Work on our finances. We need to come up with a capital plan where your future is secure and you're not worried about having to buy a fire truck, or you're not worried about having to buy vehicles. And there's a lot of things that we can do to be aggressive. I think right now we need to maximize our dollars. Finance-wise, we need to look at grants and we need to use whatever monies we have as matching to bigger money. You take small money and you make it as a match to big money, and then you get projects done. So something I would look at is definitely bring back somebody with grants in-house. And maybe that person that manages grants, we could combine them and give them the responsibility of the CRA, bring that in-house, and work on projects together and start to work. Some projects are in the CRA and some projects aren't in the CRA, and we'll be applying for funds wherever they're at. Looking for different ways to generate revenues without putting the burden in the taxpayer. In the past, I would say 6 years, my track record speaks for itself. I've not raised the millage. And trust me, we were in a worse position than we are here in Satellite Beach. With the exception of 1 year, we had no choice but to roll forward a little bit, and it wasn't to the full rate. So I would say finances, definitely work on that, and capital plans for the city, the infrastructure, to get a lot of our things done. Working on the CRA and bringing it back in-house and maximizing how the CRA can help us. And the third thing will be future development, planning out our needs and making sure that our future is secure. Because ultimately, that's going to help. Everything helps finances, but we got to work together. And I'm not a person that's, how do you say this, one vision. I'm not going to do one thing at a time. We do all these things simultaneously. We multitask. Okay, we're not going to be linear on how we do this. We're not going to do this and then we're going to do this. We're going to work together and get everything done at the same time. And that's why I think we've been able to bring in $13 million in 5 years. And the city where I'm currently working now, it went from almost bankruptcy to stability. I mean, our utilities, I come from a full service city. I have a water plant, I have a sewer plant. I have everything that you have here. And it's kind of amazing because I'm looking at the personalities of some of the people that work here, and they're similar to some of the people I have up north. I don't know if it's a job or what it is, but I think that we need to work and come up with a plan and deal with those issues. If we deal with those issues, your future's going to be secure. Your future's going to be secure, whatever, because it's a great place, and you've got great people working here. So I just wish I'm a part of it to help you get there.
You've had a chance to do a tour and get to know us a little bit. What do you see as our city's greatest strengths and weaknesses?
Well, I see as your greatest strength the fact that you guys are a jewel. I mean, this is a paradise here. I think your biggest weakness is I don't think many people outside Brevard know that. I mean, what you have to offer. You have so much to offer. And I think our biggest weakness is to be out there and become competitive. I'm going to tell you, economic development is very competitive, okay? I know that from where I'm at right now. I have 87,000 acres I just annexed, okay? I have more real estate than anybody else. I'm out there. I have to go to DCA, have to rewrite the comp plan. We're currently working on our land development code as we speak. I mean, anything can get done, but we need to be out there and be aggressive and market ourselves where we now pick and choose. We know who's going to develop here. If we sell ourselves appropriately, we're going to be that commercial, and I think I said this to one of the council members today. Remember the commercial where there's somebody that's in the room, in the bedroom with his wife, and they're talking about, you know, getting a mortgage for their home, and then, gee, honey, so what rate are we getting? He goes, no, let me check. And then he goes to the next room, and there's 5 bankers out there competing. That's who we are here. We can do that because we have so much to offer. But we need to first be confident that we got that, who we are, and we don't bargain our benefits away, and that we bargain to get the maximum of what we got to offer, because this place is a treasure trove. It really is.
In this marketing, who would you be trying to attract?
Well, here's the thing. Number one is you need to attract site selectors, okay? Your site selectors, most people don't know what that is. There's actually people that major corporations pay to pick out sites for them, okay? And those people are the ones that come back and say, well, look, you know, we got Satellite Beach, whether it's a manufacturing, or whether it's high industry, or whether it's travel, or whether health industry, was one of the things that we did. I actually brought in Project Sprint, and they got code names for these things, by the way, because a lot of these companies don't like to give out that they're moving their company because they don't want to cause panic in the area, so they give them like special project names. That's something I learned in my job now. So we had Project Sprint, created 100 jobs. We had Project Koala, a company from Australia wanted to come in and open their home base here, and what they deal is in pharmaceuticals, and they wanted their executive offices here. And we need to be out there dealing with site selectors. We also need to be dealing with developers, okay? Developers, here we are. I know we have Mercedes Homes here, but there's a lot of other developers here. Here we are, and this is what we have to offer. We need to have fast permitting to make us attractive. So people say, you know what, time is money. I'm going to go there because I can get permitted in 90 days, and we need to support our staff to be able to complete those goals and have fast permitting. And if we do all that, we're going to be a success. We really are. So I would say also, in addition to that, then you go to the open market and you tell people, hey, I know that you guys, I'm from New Jersey originally, I know that you guys suffered a lot. You know, for those of you at Jersey Shore, I feel very bad for you, but if you want to come to Florida, guess what we got to offer? So now you got the home base that need a place to live. Well, supply and demand. Guess what? If we got the supply and there's a demand, they will come. The developers will be here because this is where the potential will be. So we need to be aggressive and market ourselves and do something like that. And if you notice enthusiasm in my voice, it's because I'm very excited about the opportunities you have here and the future you have here.
Of those things that you mentioned to be attracted, which appeal most to you for our city?
You know, to tell you the truth, whatever I may think technically is irrelevant, I certainly would like to tell you that I would like to keep the quality of life here, and anything that would enhance the quality of life of our citizens. Obviously, you don't want a factory here on US 1. But, you know, I would like to basically do that as a group effort and get with the commissioners and get with the community. I like for them to tell me what they would want here, and then we target that. But I would certainly add my 2 cents in and say, listen, you could have a nice executive office building there that's going to be attractive, and maybe at the first level they'll be willing to build some commercial aspects to it. And there's a lot of things that you can do, but I think whatever we do, it has to be a consensus of the community. It has to be a mirror of what this community wants, because ultimately that's who I work for. I work for you, and through you, for them.
Is there anything else that you would like us to know about you?
Well, just that I am very excited to be here, and I'd like to also take this opportunity to offer. I wasn't sure if I was going to do this or not, but I met this gentleman yesterday, and I want to offer my condolences for Scotty Culp. I know that she was an icon here to this community. I didn't meet her, and I'm not trying to take advantage of what happened with her, please, but I just wanted to mention that I was touched by what you did, putting the flags out and stuff like that for somebody like that. And I'm the type of person that I value every employee. To me, the volunteer is as important as a director or as a chief of police. So with me, you're getting a person that likes people and values every employee. And I like to create an atmosphere where employees like to come to work. But at the same time, I establish an atmosphere where each one of you are going to know, you know, that guy Armando, he's a stand-up guy, he's a straight shooter, and he's not going to lie to me. So when I come to you with something, you're not going to question it. Because I'd rather admit that I did something wrong than try to justify it or hide it or come up with an excuse for it. Okay? Because then you're going to lose. It's part of character. You're going to lose my respect for me. So that's who I am. I'm a straight shooter. And who you see here, this is me. Take it or leave it. So if you don't like it, please let them know, because this is what I'm about. I'm not trying to, I want to live here. I want to be your neighbor. You're going to see me shopping at Publix if I'm blessed and get this job. So I want to make sure you know me for who I am.
Okay. What is your philosophy for developing and implementing a budget for our city?
You know, I'm going to tell you something. It's kind of unique because I'm different than any other manager. I had to sort of like coming into a crisis city as a rookie manager, sort of like create my methodology. And I'm going to tell you, my current boss has said, you know, the best thing that ever happened to us is that you were not corrupted by the city manager culture. You came in here fresh with fresh ideas. I established budget sheets, okay? And what they do is they take every budget, and I would go to a director and I would say, okay, guys, listen, you want $5,000 for this line item, right? I'm not saying you're not going to get it, but I work on need and not on want. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to establish your needs. You need this, right? Well, Chief, I'm sorry, I'm going to sing you out here a minute if you don't mind. That's okay. Chief says, I need $5,000 in uniforms. I said, Chief, not a problem. Just list out for me. Let's break it out. Let's do a formula here so that when we go to the commission, he's going to know, I got 10 shirts at this amount of price equals this. I got X amount of pants at X amount of price, and eventually, I need tasers, I need this, I need that. $10,000. When I bring it to you, if I do that in the entire budget, and trust me, utilities was a challenge doing that, but you don't have a utilities here, you have a utility tax. But anyway, if you do that, my last budget hearing was 30 minutes long because all my bosses knew where the budget was and where the money was, and that there's no fluff in the budget. So right away, transparency and trust. And what I try to tell the directors is, listen, let's put whatever, you don't have to worry about putting extra money or hiding extra money in your budget in case you think you're going to run over. Let's put it here where everybody can see it, okay? And what we're going to do is, if a need arises, we're going to go here. If in your department something came up you didn't think of, we're going to go here. We're going to deal with needs for now until the city has their capital improvement plan, until we don't have to worry about having to replace a fire truck because we know we're saving today to replace it 10 years from now when it's overdue. Until we get there, we need to save and be fiscally responsible and run the city like a business. Most people, you know, it's not my money, but I want to run it like it's a business because it's their money, and I have to be responsible for it. So what I do is I hold my directors accountable to be fiscally responsible and run the city like a business. Don't spend more than you need. Let's just spend it on what we need, and then if something comes up that we decide that we want to, we have contingency here, we'll bring it to the board and say, listen, we think we need this, we're going to go to contingency, and we're going to spend this money on X and such, and you'll be a part of the process. So I'm very, very much into the bottom line and not spending more than we need. But I like to make the budget transparent, that it's not just the directors or me that know how we arrived at the sum, where everybody will know how we arrived at the sum.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I have two questions from the residents. The first one is, the city has been through a contentious political rift over the past 2 years. Are you aware of the rift, and how would you close it?
I'm aware of the rift, and it doesn't concern me. I got this, okay? I met all your commissioners. I can work with every single one of them. The main thing is you need a city manager that got their trust, all their trust, okay? If you've got a city manager that's got their trust and they believe is doing the right thing and is willing to stick up for his people when they're doing the right thing, okay? If you do the right thing, you're going to be okay. If you do the popular thing, you're going to be in trouble. I'm about doing the right thing. I'm about supporting staff if they're doing a good job. I'm about getting the trust of all my bosses so that they know if we're making a recommendation, it's not just my recommendation. It's because I consulted with the experts that we had here in the city, and we came up with what we think is the best solution. And if you guys disagree, then all I need is 3 votes. And you tell me to go left, and we'll go left. But our job is to present the board with what we as the experts, you as professionals you pay, with the best recommendation we think that this city needs. It would be unfair to do otherwise. As a city manager, I'm not going to be here and represent any one commissioner. I'm telling you guys that, in all honesty. Okay, I represent the board. Okay? So my job is to present something to the board, and you know what? When you apply common sense, and you're transparent, and you're honest, and you have their respect, that's my job. My job is to make sure that they understand this is what we need to do, this is where we are, and if I have their respect, I guarantee you we'll be getting a lot of 5-0 votes. Guaranteed.
Second question, what experience do you have working with and negotiating with police and fire unions and their contracts?
You threw me that ringer question, didn't you? That was good. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that.
Wasn't me.
I've sat on both sides of the table. I've sat on the side representing the cops and the firefighters, and I sat on the side because usually when we negotiate this, sometimes we have firefighters and representative from the police, and then I've done it both ways. And I've also sat representing the city. And I've got experience on both sides of it. But what's really good is that I know the culture. I know the police culture, and I know the public safety culture, and I know what they need, and I can probably help them in a lot of stuff. So I'm very experienced in that. I don't plan on running the police department. I certainly don't want to run the fire department. And by the way, you have a great fire chief too, and you've got a great fire department. Very impressed with the services they offer. I think that was, I haven't seen that anywhere, only here. So I'm very impressed by it. But I am very experienced in that. I don't give away the farm though. Okay? I mean, I do things fairly.
That's it.
That's it. Any further questions? Armando, thank you very, very much.
Thank you. It's been my
Appreciate
pleasure. Thank you. Nice meeting all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Armando, thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Nice job.
Thank you too.
You're welcome, sir.
I will shake your hand too. God bless all of you. Thank you. Good luck.
Okay, well, you've all seen all the candidates now. Our next meeting is Thursday at, do we have a time? 7? Okay. And we'll have the vice mayor there. And if you'd give it some thought over the next few days, if you have any questions, feel free to call me. You can feel free to call any of the candidates if you have follow-up questions that, occurred to you afterwards. Oh, darn, I wish I'd asked this question. The point in this is that you need to have all the information you need to make the right decision. So if there's more information you need from me or the candidates, feel free and we'll get it for you.
Okay, great. Any further business?
I would just say that, I want to encourage the folks to contact me, and I imagine the rest of the council feels the same way. I'd love to hear from you and get your opinions. We need to get it right.
I echo her comments.
Thank you.
Do we know on Thursday, are we going to openly discuss the candidates? Are we going to do a ballot, or when do we talk about that part?
Yeah, what I would suggest is that we do something similar to what we did the last time, and I would just ask you each to come with 2 candidates. And again, what that does is you'll probably have general agreement on 2 candidates. And so you don't have to spend a lot of time talking about the candidates you're not interested in and why and all of that, because, this stuff gets on the internet and all of that. Mm-hmm. And then you can either, it depends on how you want to proceed. At that point, you can discuss candidates. Sometimes my councils will just go to the second ballot right away, and let's see who's got the majority. It's really just a matter. The straw ballot, the first ballot's really just to kind of narrow the field and think of where you're headed, and then it's a matter of what you're comfortable with. If you want to talk about the candidates, you do have to do 2 ballots, because the first ballot I ask you just to check off. I don't want you to rank the candidates on the first ballot.
So we have to do 2, or if somebody, again, I don't know what anybody else is going to do, obviously. If someone brings a motion for a particular person.
You could, sure.
Okay, so any of that's open, but we can discuss them at any time.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it's really your process at this point, but that's my suggestion on how you handle it.
Okay, thank you. Any further business? Okay, hearing none, 7 o'clock, we have a meeting, council meeting on Wednesday, and this process picks up again Thursday, 7 o'clock.
And concludes Thursday.
It will conclude
at
Thursday
7 o'clock.
at sometime after 7.
Did you see the smile on the chief's face?
And the acting chief also said he's ready to be demoted. Meeting adjourned.
It's been a pleasure. We'll see you Thursday. How about you?